Good morning, folks. I hope everybody is spending time with loved ones if possible today. I hope that people are valuing other ones and making things right today and not taking time for granted, the most valuable commodity there is that we often take for granted, that I did for a long time myself as well. And it took me a few days to think about what I was going to say, and I thought about doing a post, and I didn't think that was would do what I had to say justice. And uh, as usual, I can't fit everything I want to say into this video. So I want to take the time out to talk about just a little bit about my mother and our relationship. And you'll hear me say this more than once, to send a big, humble, grateful appreciation to everybody that reached out in one way or another, through donations or through the relationship they had with me and my mom, or from when we were kids or growing up or whatever it may be. And especially people that knew my mother personally. And I got a last coffee cup I got her. She didn't use it, and she kept it for a souvenir, so I'm using it this morning. I'll try not to take too long. I just wanted to talk to everybody that understands this part of life is losing your parents, and it's a natural order of things. You think you're ready and you're not. And but I specifically want to talk to people and that understand what it's like being raised with a single parent. And one of the things I've said a lot over the course of my life is it's hard to explain to people that only have very limited people in their life at a very early age. And one of the things I always say is, by all means, I don't want to take away from just one parent or anybody to say, hey, if you lose one parent, that hey, you still got one left. No, by no means is that any less because some of us only had one parent. But it is different. And I know quite a people I grew up with that grew up like that, and sometimes, often, it's the dad that's a single parent. But most of the time, from uh, throughout the course of my life, I know a lot more single mothers than I do single fathers. And one of the things is when you only have one person like that in your life, is it's often frustrating, but it's also a lot more valuable. And one of the things I realize is most people think when you have to deal with something like this over the course of your life, when you're explaining the responsibilities that some of us had, they think that you have other people that can help out. They assume that that person has a spouse, a partner. They assume that you have a lot more siblings. And me and my mother had a unique relationship, and we often didn't agree on a lot of things. And to what some traditional, conventional people think is disrespect, me and my mom was just simple disagreement. And there was never nothing I didn't get off my chest with my mother, and I don't regret that, because I started at a very early age telling her how I feel, because I didn't want something to happen to her one day, and I didn't say that, or her not tell me what she thinks. And I think that we both did that, our conversations over the years. It was never poor me, but I can say this: right before age 4, I lost my father, was murdered. Uh, I didn't really understand that at the time. Both of my dad's parents died before I was born, and my mom's father died at 17. when she was 17, excuse me. And so for 20 years, it was me, her, and my grandmother. And I was the only child for 14 years. At age 13, I became the man of the house. So at that age, in the young teenage years, no matter what my mom did, if she was wrong or right, I protected my mother. And I thought that everybody else was wrong all the time. That was all I had, so all I knew was protect her. It didn't matter who it was. If I could, that's what I did. And at age 16, I decided to move out. Not because my mom kicked me out or anything like that. I just decided she had a hard time. She struggled a lot, and I always wanted her to live a more active life than she did. Very happy woman, always happy. And sometimes I didn't understand why she was so happy. I'm like, I want you to do these things, Mom. Don't you want to try them? Doesn't it frustrate you because you're so scared of everything? And she often confided in me and told me she did. She wished she would have did it when she was younger, but she didn't. The thing is, probably this is just a little message I want to send, and this is kind of scattered today because I had wanted to say thank you to so many people, and another message I want to send to some other people. And I wanted to share a little bit about my mom for those that didn't know her. I mean, everybody's parent who is involved in their life at some point is their parents and their children the most important thing to them. I get that. And we all go through this. And anybody that knows, my mom had been sick for a long time and a lot of health problems. I mean, she became a diabetic when I was 10. So that was like 85, something like that. And you're talking 33, 34 years on insulin. It was just something I always grew up seeing her give herself shots, things like that. Well, probably from my late teens to early 30s, I never went without seeing my mom, but I thought I was already raising my own family very young. I thought that eventually she would start driving. I thought she would, my mom could sing. She was really good. She could belt some tunes out. She could make a lot of things. She was great makeup and hair. She went to cosmetology school when she was younger. She always talked about getting all these things done. And she'd get fired up, and I'd say, good, Mom, you should do that, And she never did. And a wonderful person. Most people that knew her loved her. And she loved people. She loved life. But she never took that step to have that confidence to do it. And she was happy with her kids and grandkids and her loved ones, but one message she told me, we talked about repetitively, no matter if I'm here or not, Jason, y'all please do all of the things that you plan to do. Don't hesitate. Don't live such a restricted life like I did. And I've tried my best to do that, especially about the last 10 years. I really got on a mission. And I'll talk about my other mission a little bit. Probably to my late teens, when I moved out of the house, to my late 20s, early 30s, I kind of, she was younger, so I kind of was in denial a little bit about her health. And we take people for granted like we always do, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't do that. And I always felt responsible for my mom. We had a weird relationship to where it was unique, to where for a long time I felt like the parent. Not because she was really immature or anything. I knew in so many ways that she was needy as in people, and I absolutely didn't want to be that way. I seen this over and over. My grandmother, who I love dearly, I didn't realize this till later. Yes, I want to talk about this again today, about enabling and doing everything for everybody when they're gone. Because when the people are gone that do that, somebody else has to pick it up. I have multiple, I can't count the examples in families I know, in my own family, and close other families, to where if you're doing something for people who can do for themselves, if you're doing everything and removing every obstacle and enabling them and helping those who won't help themselves instead of those who cannot help themselves. I promise you, it is very dangerous, and it will end to where somebody has to step in and do all that may or may not have asked for it. I mean, I'm not even going to say it, because if I say all the examples that I have that I know personally, just in our small little world in life, people will know who they are. And I love some of these people, but they have created things that a lot of our older ones, my grandmother helped do it with my mother. And I know a lot of other family members and things like this. These 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds turn into 55 and 60-year-olds, and it's not cute. People have to stop their whole lives. But like I said, through my late teens and late 20s, early 30s, I just got busy raising my kids. And I'm gonna tell you something. One thing I realized, I worked way too much to keep from dealing with things. This is me calling my own self out. And then I probably about the last 10 years, maybe a little bit longer, something just snapped to me. And I say this a lot in my videos. I just had an awakening where there were so many things that needed to change, so many people that needed to go. Not holding grudges, forgiving is what my mom wanted to do. And me and her often disagreed on that regularly. And I started really seeing it her way. She says, you got to let that go for you, Jason. Y'all need to let that go. You don't want to carry that burden around. She says, one of the strongest things a person can do is forgive somebody when you shouldn't. You don't have to forget it, but you have to forgive them. So I started doing that. And then probably the last 6 or 7, maybe 8, somewhere between 6 and 10 years, Mom's health steadily declined. Watched her go from a cane to a walker, from a walker to a scooter to a wheelchair, and then she started dialysis. And I think I said about 5 years ago that I was going to do my best to try to fulfill my mom's little bucket list. Not that she made, that I tried to get her to do. I tried to get her to go on cruises. I said I'd pay for it, I'd schedule it with her sisters or whoever, us, and she wouldn't do it. She waited too long. She talked about doing all these things when she was younger, and I had asked her so many times, picking her up and taking her from dialysis, because until she started dialysis, I think she was with us about 10 to 15 days a month. And then when dialysis started, that changed everything. And we still got her every 2 or 3 weeks, lived with us a couple of years and things like that. And I was asked her, did she feel like, does she live a restricted life to arrive at death the same way? She had all this zeal for life, so happy. We would talk hours about music, plans, things like that. I never seen my mom swim. I never seen her ride a bike. Never seen her drive. I tried to get her to go to the Rolling Stones concert and Eagles at last, and she loved that stuff. My mom used to go to Texas Jams, and she just didn't want to do it. And this is before she started dialysis. And one of the last conversations we had was, Jason, I did wish I would have done it, but I waited too long, and this is my life now. She said, all I want to do is spend a time with loved ones. Please don't wait. I love what you're doing. She goes, I stayed in fear of everything, and I wish I wouldn't have. On one hand, I would get so frustrated with that, but on another hand, I realized how tough she was. I can't tell you that, thinking back these last 10, 12 years, when she took a part-time job and walked places and got Christmas done. And when I got older, I was that type of person that was going, how did you afford this? Why was you able to do that? And I would have conversations with her when I was little. Why did you do that? Well, I felt sorry because your dad got killed. And I'd say, the answer should have been, no, you shouldn't have. And my mom always wanted somebody there. And I was the type that didn't need anybody there. She wanted us to need her, and I was the person who didn't. And now I kind of do, you know. I told her one of the last conversations on my back porch was, she said, why won't you let me do more for you? Why won't you? I said, Mom, I love you. I tell her I love her every time I got off the phone. Hugged her almost every day. And I said, all I know is take care of you. I can't take anything from you. I can't let you do nothing but little things. And I'm not mad at you for it. I don't think you're any less of a mother. Other people needed you more than I did. That was my role. That's what I did. And I can tell you this too. People don't understand that she had had a partner in her life in 20 years. My grandmother, the only grandparent singular I had, been dead since not died, and the 20-year anniversary of her death was 2 weeks before this. So she looked for me and a couple other people for everything. But my mom would give you her last dime. And one of the things she preached and sent message regularly about was forgive. People are more important. Faith's more important. Make memories. And I feel like I've been on a mission for a long time to do that. I wish I'd have started earlier, but I can't do anything about that now. But I did. And especially maybe 2010, maybe when I really seen my mom's health decline, I thought money don't come first. She's going to be gone, and then that's it. And although this is what we do, we pull ourselves away often. I did this, like I said, when I was younger. I feel like I've corrected it the last decade or so, and I still feel like I didn't do enough. Me, I don't have a guilty conscience of how I treated my mother, but I still, for her, she was in a lot of pain, and she's not in pain no more. I often got aggravated. I often got frustrated. It was years of this, running back and forth, multiple errands. But I will say this, I'd have been okay with doing it 5 more years, because we often don't do what's comfortable and convenient. We do what's right. I've told many people this. I often gotten frustrated and irritated and overwhelmed so many times. But I never asked why. I just did it. I knew it was me that had to do it, so I was okay with that. When you learn to accept things for what they are, but I can tell you this, one of the things me and Mom talked about, she knew enabling wasn't good. I've seen her work hard for over 35 years. But when that one, if you have 1 or 2 people that you rely solely off of on everything in life, when them people are gone and tragedy strikes, what are you gonna do, people? That is so dangerous. My mom knew I could always take care of myself. She wanted to take care of me more, but I also knew that she would have smothered me. We talked about that repetitively, and I just knew it was never a good thing. I knew that I needed to be the role of the spouse for a while, like the caregiver, things like that, and to make sure that, I knew that she would give people the shirt off her back and do without, and I had to be there to make sure that always didn't happen. And so, Mom was packed up, ready to come to our house this weekend, or last weekend. She was supposed to be here, and that wasn't God's plan. So, I just had to take the time to talk about that a little bit. And if you have people in your life and your family like this, please correct it. It takes so much out of people. I'll be glad to have my mom for another 5 years. But I tell you, if you got people in your life that can do for themselves, and you're doing it for them because you think they will love you more, or do you think that they're going to go do the same thing for you later, if you're not giving them any tools to take care of themselves, how are they ever going to take care of you? Especially if you're a lot older, you're the parent or grandparent. How's that going to happen? These people can't do sometimes simple things for themselves. How are they going to take care of you if you get sick, if you're the parent? Now, I'm not saying that's my mom. My mom would have took care of anybody. But I love and miss my grandmother dearly. But I tell you this much, she didn't make it very easy on some of us after she was gone. But I told my mom one of the last things, I'm not mad at you. You're a great mother. I think that y'all didn't have the tools that we have nowadays to fix things. And I started talking to her about my plans and things I'm working on, my writing and all the curriculum and material I study. And I was trying to, I could sit and talk to Mom about it. And she would sit in the car with me. We'd come back from dialysis treatment or going somewhere, and she'd be like, that's good stuff, Jason. That makes it. One thing my mom taught me was, and this is one thing I'll say before I go, because I have so much more to say. She taught us at a very young age, me and my brother, although that we're over a decade apart and we really didn't grow up together, was you don't have a lot of family, make your own family. And I feel like that's what I did. And seeing what people came together to help out with my mother showed who my true family and brothers and sisters are. And I seen some blood relation totally be disrespectful to my mother and not show up, not only not show up, not even reach out. People that she helped out, people that she gave a place to stay. But my mom would want me to forgive them, and I do, but I won't forget it. And there's probably no sense in ever contacting me again. So I'm gonna make that clear. Everybody I'm about to talk about right now, you know who you are. And you won't even acknowledge as you watch this video. But my mom was big on forgiveness because she got forgave for things when she was younger. So that's what I'm gonna do. There was people that showed up to my mother's service and funeral that I didn't even expect. And it showed a lot of character, a lot of integrity. It spoke volume to me. It blew me away. And I know that my mother was happy to see them there. People that reached out and helped. Some I didn't even expect. Some of them didn't even know my mother. But they knew me or knew my brother or the family. I can't tell you the gratitude. Thank all of you. Love you guys, man. I value you guys and appreciate it. I know that I would do the same as what my mom would do if I was put in that position. Whatever I got to do to help someone. For those of you that were really close to my mother, considered us brothers, that should have been at my mom's service. I get it. Things come up, life, work, kids. But for some of these people, it's excuse after excuse. Some of these people have let us down time after time after time. My mom expected to see these people way before her death. And when it got right down to it, some of our closest family members, supposed to be. Like I said, family has nothing to do with blood. I'll say that over and over. When it got right down to it, you didn't show. You didn't make it right. You didn't. For whatever reason, I have no idea. I don't understand it. Because I know for me, for some of our loved ones and people we care about, we have often dropped what we're doing without pay. Unscheduled stuff, canceled stuff. Not every time, but most of the time when we knew about things. And it may not even have been a death in the family. It could have been something else. In the end, some great people I consider family came together. And some ones I expected to hear from and see and reach out that my mom loved dearly, you didn't show. That was your chance to make it right and you didn't. You know who you are. If the shoe fits, you know the message from me. That will never change. Lace a bitch up and wear it. Whoever you are, I do not care. Because chances are I've lived without you this long and I can continue to live without you now. As I just said earlier, I've lived without the most important people in my life at an early age. And because of that, I'm stronger for it. And I was able to take care of my mom instead of falling apart. And it wasn't easy. I miss my mom dearly and I loved her a lot. But I know my mom would want me to get on here and tell everybody thank you so much for everything you've done. The words, the donations, whatever it may be. And for those of you who didn't, shame on you. And I want to leave with this. If you've got anybody in your life that you need to make it right with, children, parents. Now, let me back up for a minute. I'm not talking about anybody that knows me knows this too. If it's a deadbeat parent that hasn't had nothing to do with you your whole life, I say this a lot, man. A lot of men especially like to come back around when they're old and sick and they want forgiveness for them, not you. Some people have been terrible people their whole life and all they did was get old. You can forgive them. You probably should, but you don't have to have nothing. All is not okay because you got old and sick. We're talking about you had nothing to do with the raising of these kids with the mother or not, and all of a sudden you got old and you got elderly and now that you feel bad because you don't want to die alone. I don't care for them people. I never will, and I don't feel conscious about it, nor will I apologize. That gray-haired, broke-down person that's an asshole probably was an asshole when they were younger. The obligation is not to their mother or their father. The obligation is to your children. But I will say this, if it's over petty, there's so much stuff in this life that is petty. If it's over petty things, it's your children, it's your sibling, an ex-spouse, ex-partner, somebody that you consider a brother or sister, blood related or not, somebody you love, I'm gonna tell you what I told a couple people at my mom's passing. You had the opportunity to make it right. That opportunity no longer exists. You got to live with that. Please make it right by these people while they're here. It doesn't. Pride is a silly thing, and sometimes we don't even know why people are mad. How many people are gonna pass away, and how many people are gonna become unavailable, or you never see them again, and you never had the conversation you needed to have? I probably still got some in my life I need to make right, and I feel like I've tried to fix that the last how many ever years, which doesn't mean that we are going to be around each other all the time, but hey, here's what I was wrong about. I'm trying to make it right, you know, and that's what my mother tried to do, and that was the message that I've tried to send. But in the final moment, some people that need to make it right, they didn't, and chances are these handful of people, they're not right by other people in their life. Some of us, their children, their siblings, letting petty things get in the way that mean nothing. A lifetime of bitterness, anger, built up a heavy heart that is going to drive you to an early grave over things that you cannot control. You cannot make people change. You can't change people. The only thing you can do is change the people you're around. And it took me years to figure that out. And I'm glad that I didn't figure that out when I was old, elderly, on my deathbed. My mom figured that out years ago. And I'm glad I started putting those practices in my life. So you don't get another go around here as long as life seems that for the years that we start with, it's still a very short life. It is. And the longest day is still short. So I just want to take more than a few minutes today. It took me a little while to get together. And of course, like anything, man, I didn't say half the shit I said I was going to say, and said some stuff I didn't want to, that I didn't think about. But I always went over my videos with my mother. And I always say the most important people in my life are all the women in my life, which is my mama Sita, everybody knows, my daughters, my stepdaughters, my granddaughters, and my mom. And now I'm one less. And that's a wrap for all my parents and grandparents, and that was all I had left for the last 20-something years. So for everyone that reached out again and helped, God bless you. Whatever your higher power is, that's mine. I'm not a religious person. I don't mind saying that. Let the grudges go, let the bitterness go, let the hate go, let the anger go. The people that walk around with built up like that all the time, they got enough to deal with. The two things that are really important in my life I want to be right was by my children and by my mother, and I've tried to do that, and I will continue to do that with the next generation, with my stepchildren, with my grandkids, everything. And that's what my mom wanted. Thank all of you. I can't tell you how much appreciative me and my family is, and most of my family is not blood. For those of you who showed up, reached out, dropped what you were doing, work, no pay, whatever it was, you came. You showed up. And I can't tell you how much we all appreciate it. For those of you who didn't, you know who you are. And I probably won't hear from you for years, or if all again. And that's sad, because some of us had a bond that I thought was always could be fixed, and this showed me otherwise. Like I said, you're forgiven, but I won't forget it. And unless it's an extensive conversation one-on-one in person of why that some of these people have did this repeatedly over and over in person, not on the phone, then I have no desire to talk to y'all. But I'm gonna let you get on with this beautiful day. It's been raining so much. I miss you, Mom. I love you. And although I know you're not in pain no more, also I know that you are in a better place. You got a new set of legs, and you're watching all of us do this. So y'all have a blessed day. Thank y'all again. Love your family, your loved ones. Apologize when necessary. Get rid of the hate, get rid of the bitterness, get rid of the grudges. Most of it's all mediocre, petty stuff. Y'all have a good one.